All right, so we're going to start. All right, so the being that we'll be away for the next couple of weeks, I thought it wanted to do a one-off class. We're actually not away for 2 weeks, but it does end up being two Tuesdays. So my apologies for that. But I wanted to do something that is, I believe, very important in terms of where we were throughout the Hagim, throughout the holidays. And I think it'll provide some new insights. It's a different type of learning that we've done than we've done in the past. So I think you'll enjoy it. Um, Abe, you want to read the, can you see the sheet, Abe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you mind reading?
Yeah, sure. Im tashiv mishabet raglecha, asot chevsecha b'yom kodshi, v'karata l'shabet, oneg l'dosh Hashem mekubad, v'karadho me'asot rechecha, mimso chevsecha davar davar.
Right, long pasuk and not so easy. Read it in English.
If you refrain from trampling the Shabbat, from pursuing your affairs on my holy day, if you call the Shabbat delight, the Lord's holy day honored, and if you honor it and go not your ways, nor look to your affairs, nor strike bargains.
All right, continue in the English, and then we'll go back to the Hebrew for the second pasuk.
Then you can seek the favor of the Lord, and I will set you astride the heights of the earth and let you enjoy the heritage of your father Jacob, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken.
All right. Az titanag al Adonai b'chavticha al bamotei aretz v'chavticha nachalat Yaakov abicha ki pi Adonai diber. So we're going to talk about something related to Shabbat that is built from these psukim. These psukim are from the book of Yeshaya. Jake and I spoke about these a little bit. I'm going to explain them a little bit further beyond the English. Im tashib mishabbat agrecha. If you refrain in some way, we're not clear exactly how, when the pasuk starts, in terms of your legs, meaning something that's actionable. If you, from an action perspective, refrain from something on Shabbat, asod chafatzecha biyom kodshi. If you refrain from doing your thing, engaging in your things, asot, to do or to engage, chafatzecha, in your things, in your possessions, biyom kodshi, on my day that's kadosh, v'karata l'shabbat oneg, and if you call this day Shabbat something of absolute pleasure, l'chdosh Adonai mechubad, and that pleasure is not a selfish pleasure, but it's selfish and connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu both. V'chibadato ma'asot derachecha, and here are the key words. And you will respect it, and respect is a funny word, that's what we're going to tease out. Respect it, ma'asot derachecha, from doing your thing, mimitzo chefsecha, from engaging your possessions, v'daber davad, and from speaking certain things. So Yeshaya the Navi is coming to us and saying, it's true that we have 39 areas of things of prohibitions on Shabbat. We can't use fire, we can't cook, we can't sew, we can't build, we can't plant, we can't plow, we can't harvest, we can't dye, color. We have those 39 things that we're done in order to build the Mishkan, the tabernacle. So we can't engage any of those things. And there are many tens of sort of children or junior areas of prohibition that come from those things. Good. But then we have these words of the Navi, of the prophet, which are somewhat shocking. He says, wait a minute, but if you really want to keep Shabbat, if you want to get a benefit of Shabbat's pleasure, if you want to get some of that Kedusha, that holiness, if you want to be mehabed, you want to respect the Shabbat, if you want to put yourself into a position of pleasure and connected it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, disengage from the things that you do. Well, what does that mean? Didn't you already tell me I can't paint and I can't transact and I can't drive and I can't? but disengage from the things you do, and daver davar, and the things you speak about. We're going to talk about what all this means in a second. Az titanag al Adonai, then you will have remarkable pleasure with God. And he will carry you to the heights of the earth. And you will have pleasure and benefit along with your father Jacob. And we'll talk about why Jacob specifically is mentioned here as per the word of Hashem. Okay, so far?
Yeah.
All right, great. So, hi, Serene. Good to see you, Sari. Jake, good to see everybody. So
Yeah.
let's re-step here a little bit, and I want to frame it based on something that Hillel Zaken said that has to do with the Simchat Bet HaShoeva on Sukkot. The middle days of Sukkot, we had what was called Simchat Bet HaShoeva. Simchat Bet HaShoeva were these fabulous nightly celebrations in Jerusalem on the Temple Mount, where hundreds of thousands of people would be dancing and celebrating, and they'd light these giant fires on these very tall poles, and young Kohanim, young children of the Kohanim would climb up these poles with urns of oil and reignite the fires, and men and women would meet, and shidduchim would happen, and it was this unparalleled celebration. Hillel Hazaken, the great Hillel, is quoted him saying, "Im ani kan, hakol kan." If I'm here for this, everything is here. There is nothing else. There's nothing else for me. There's nowhere else I would want to be. It's seize the day kind of thing. If I'm here, everything is here. Im ani kan, hakol kan. Beautiful quote. Now, hold that up there as sort of our keter, our headline. Now Yeshaya comes and says, okay, it's true that we learn from the Mishkan, from the tabernacle, all those things we have to refrain from on Shabbat to be removed from the mundane. But he says, but truth, he says, are we really going to be removed from the mundane? The prophet says, I don't think so. So what does he do? He frames a whole new area of Jewish law. It becomes law, even though it's introduced in the Navi, it becomes law, which is very rare. And it becomes the canvas for the whole day of Shabbat. It becomes that which everything in Shabbat is based on. And if we keep the words of Hillel HaZaken, that great rabbi on Sukkot, in the back of our minds, we'll understand why. So let's go through some of the steps. If I can't do something on Shabbat, one of the 39 prohibitions, let's say, if I can't engage or do one of the 39 prohibitions on Shabbat, can I ask another Jew to do them? Obviously. What's the answer?
No.
Obviously not. Great. Can I ask a goy to do what I can't do? Can I ask a goy, Sari, to do what I can't do?
I think yes.
No, I cannot ask a goy to do what I can't do. So if I can't light a fire on Shabbat, I can't ask the goy to light the fire.
But we do it all the time. I tell the housekeeper, open this, do that.
Okay, so you shouldn't be doing that because the halacha is that if I can't do something, I can't have anybody else do it for me. Now, there are extenuating circumstances which we can talk about. For example, if someone is sick, there are certain cases, and I don't want to go into it tonight, but I'm happy to go into it in depth if you'd like. There are certain extenuating circumstances where it's absolutely okay, according to Jewish law, to tell the goy to get something done. So I'll give you one quick example. If someone is considered cholesh she'en bo sakana, somebody who's not feeling well, even though the illness is not life-threatening, somebody is not feeling well, or in the category of a choleh, then I can ask the goy to do something for that person. The assumption is that it needs to get done. But let's say I can't do laundry. I can't ask the goy to do laundry.
Even though
If
she's
I-
doing it every day?
I'm sorry?
Even though she's doing it every day and
Okay,
you're not
great.
telling her?
Beautiful. So if you have a housekeeper, let's say you have a housekeeper who's in the house 4, 5, 6 days a week, and she knows that her general responsibilities are to do the laundry 3 times a week. Let's just use that as an example. And she doesn't have to deliver laundry the minute after Shabbat, but she just needs to be on a cycle with the laundry. Then she does it when she wants. If she has the opportunity to do it any other time other than Shabbat, and it's baked in, it's disguised, it's balua, it's immersed in her work of the week, then we don't have a problem. But if I give her the laundry a minute before Shabbat, where she can't possibly get it done, and I tell her I want it the minute Shabbat ends, which is impossible unless she does it on Shabbat itself, that's absolutely prohibited. Can I tell the maid to turn on the fire, turn off the fire? Absolutely not. Can I tell her to turn on the air conditioner? Absolutely not. Can I tell her to wash the dishes? What do you say, Sari?
I do. I mean, I don't know. Can I say I'm not living by these rules? I know it's terrible.
It's not terrible. That's why we're learning. That's why we're learning.
But sometimes, Ricky, I even see them in shul.
Okay, we'll talk one step at a time. Beautiful, Sarah. We'll talk one step at a time. So let's say, can I have Chacham Yaakov, Jake, can I have the housekeeper wash the dishes in the dishwasher?
In the dishwasher, no.
The answer is yes. Why? Can I tell her to wash them in the dishwasher? No.
Can I
tell
have her wash them in the dishwasher? Well, I'm benefiting from it. Am I not? And she's doing
One
melacha.
Beautiful, excellent. If the housekeeper can do something without violating Shabbat, like washing the dishes, she can wash the dishes in a way that doesn't violate Shabbat. Then if she chooses to do it in a way that does violate Shabbat, that's her choice. That's not my imperative.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry, you with me?
But like,
Sorry?
I'm not, like, I don't understand the difference between like the
Excellent.
dishwasher and not the dishwasher.
Excellent, okay. So I can't turn on a dishwasher on Shabbat, all right? But I can wash a dish because I'm not doing anything.
You're allowed to use like palm olive and the sponge and
I'm
wash
allowed
it.
to use palm olive. I can't use a sponge because then I have an issue with squeezing out the sponge. But let's say I use a Shabbat sponge. They have Shabbat sponges that don't really squeeze out, or I use a towel and I don't press on it and squeeze the water out, then I'm allowed to wash my dishes on Shabbat. Therefore, I can tell the housekeeper to wash my dishes on Shabbat. Therefore, if she decides to wash my dishes in a dishwasher for her benefit, that's fine.
Yeah.
Good? Okay, now, on the other hand, right? There's always another hand in Judaism. On the other hand, I cannot wash clothing on Shabbat no matter what. In fact, if I decide to swim on Shabbat, because I worked out the general technical issues, I can't swim in non-synthetic bathing suit. I can't swim with a bathing suit where the liner is cotton. I can only swim in a synthetic bathing suit because if I swim in a natural fiber, it's considered laundering or cleaning, and I can't do it. You guys still with me? You want to go back to Navi, prophets?
Yeah,
I like this
but
stuff.
like, what a business to make like Shabbat bathing suits. We could start a business making Shabbat bathing suits.
Okay, look, most bathing suits today are purely synthetic. When we were growing up, this was more of an issue. And I'm not suggesting people swim on Shabbat or not. I'm just saying today, in a bathing suit, a bathing trunk with a liner, It's very, very rare you're going to see something that's cotton. It's very rare. But if you did, you couldn't even go in the water in that, even though there's no detergent or soap. Hey, everyone, there's no detergent or soap.
Correct.
It's considered libun. It's considered laundering from a halacha perspective.
How about spandex?
How about spandex? Yeah, these are not natural fibers. These are all synthetic. Synthetic fibers, you don't have an issue with laundering on Shabbat. So let's start at the top. Okay. A, there are certain things I can't do. I can't turn on a fire. I can't turn on a light. I can't launder. I can't build something. I can't write. I can't erase. We can go into this all in detail if you'd like in the future. And anything I can't do, she can't do. Anything I can't do, I can't tell a goy to do. Yeah, Jay?
So we're drawing that from Sof Hafsecha. We're drawing it from something else, I guess is my question.
Excellent. We're drawing it from something else. We're not. We're a little bit off target here. I just wanted to mention that very briefly and then go to our topic. But
Okay.
Sari asked an important question, so I wanted to spend a minute on that. So, yeah, give me some thoughts, pushback questions on this area.
Suppose you make up a list before Shabbat, like a schedule, and you tell the housekeeper, 11 o'clock, turn the oven on. Before Shabbat, turn the oven off at 2 o'clock.
The only way you could do it is to hint to her under certain circumstances and tell her that it's a little dark in the room. On Shabbat itself, you could tell her it's a little dark in the room. Only if you had enough light to read without her adding the additional light.
Right.
If you had enough light to read without her adding the additional light, you can hint her and tell her it's a little dark in here. You can also tell her on Shabbat 1, last week, the lights in the living room or the dining room for the meal weren't really set bright enough, and just leave it at that. You can't tell her to do something on Shabbat. You can give her a hint that you have a need related to Shabbat.
But that's after Shabbat. That's not on Shabbat itself. You're saying after the fact, right? Meaning you
Yeah.
say today.
Yeah.
Why didn't you turn it on?
You can't say, why didn't you turn it on? You can
Or not why
say,
didn't you turn it on? It was dark in there, and then she'll know for next week.
right. So what we'll do is this. If you guys want to do a Halachot Shabbat, the laws of Shabbat in detail, I'm happy to do it. And we'll talk about in detail what you can tell a housekeeper and what you can't, and how you can tell the housekeeper certain things. So it's just in the form of introduction. Have in your minds very clearly, I cannot tell a housekeeper to do something on Shabbat or on Yom Tov that I can't do. I cannot do it. Now, we'll get into what are the extenuating circumstances, like if someone is sick in the house or a child. Is a child considered sick without any risk? Certain little kids are. So when can I do it? Again, as a general rule, if you have a housekeeper more than one day a week, and she has her weekly responsibilities, and you don't bind her or force her to do it on Shabbat itself, and she chooses to do it on Shabbat, then you don't have a problem.
There's a fantastic 3-book set on the 39 Melachot.
What's it called?
It's that gray book. It's like 3. It comes in a binding. It comes in a slipcase.
Okay. Fine. Let me know the name and I'll circulate it to everybody. That'd be nice.
I forget the name of it.
All right. If you see it around, let me know. We'll circulate it. That'd be great.
Okay.
Serene, any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. Sari?
I'm gonna sound like the devil, but I kind of wish I didn't know all this stuff.
That's okay. So that's why we're here. That's why we're here. So maybe this is actually more important than the Navi.
I have to say, you taught us how to do Netilat Yadayim and in the mornings and
Right.
in one of the classes. And
Yeah.
I have a neighbor who was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And every morning I said, you know what, I'm going to take this on. I can do it. And I say it in his refuah shlema. So I feel really good about doing it and doing it to help this person. And I told him, and he was like very touched because he's like a religious guy and these things like mean things to him. So, you know,
nice.
so I don't know what I'm going to take on. I'm just like listening, but
Okay.
you
All
know,
right.
I'm
You
being
know what?
open,
The
so-
enemy, our enemy in Judaism is ignorance. That's our greatest enemy.
Is
There's
who?
no other really great enemy in Judaism. So, and halakha and Jewish law is our DNA. It's really everything. The reason I've held back in the past is because sometimes people say, I am who I am. I don't want to hear it. They say stuff like that. And then it's me talking to myself on the class for an hour, you know. But if we're open, Shabbat is the cornerstone of everything. Everything we do, everything we think, everything we do, and so on. So again, we're going to have a 2 Tuesday night break while we're away. But after that, if you want to try a couple of weeks of more of the laws of Shabbat, I'm happy to do it. So if a few of you guys would text me after the class, let me know your thoughts one way or the other. So
That'll
as
be
a
great.
headline, huh?
That'll be great.
Okay. As a headline, Sari, I want you to grapple with this. I want everybody else to think about it. If there's something I can't do, she can do. If it's something I can't do, she can't do. You know, when we were little, when we were kids growing up, they used to tell us to turn on the light on Yom Tov. Remember, Erwin? Did they do that in your house? Yeah, the little kid,
Richie
that
did.
little Italian kid who happens to be my son. Let him open the light, you know. But yeah, we don't do that either. So I can't tell the housekeeper. I can't tell. Okay, what we will talk about is.
No, but time out, Ricky. A kid under, let's say, a girl or a boy under the age of manhood or ladyhood or whatever you want.
Absolutely
Is
not.
it the same whack? Yeah.
Absolutely. And today, and it's a very important point because you would say they're not chayav mitzvot. They don't have an
Right.
obligation to mitzvot.
Right,
What's
exactly,
the
right.
problem? Beautiful. So there's a concept called chinuch, to educate, to nurture our children. And the concept of chinuch became huge in Judaism, huge, to a point where it used to be that a 6-7-year-old, you wouldn't ask to do something against halacha because he's 6 or 7, he already understands.
Right.
Now the rabbis will say that children in our time are so incredibly perceptive, and they remember that you can't even have a 3-year-old. You can't ask a 3-year-old to do something on Shabbat that you can't do because you're misdirecting him and you're miseducating him. But I'll go one step further. I saw something by one of the great rabbis. I read it a few weeks ago. Who said, you can't take a baby, an infant. If the infant could do something for you that's against halacha, you can't have the infant do it. Because chinuch, education, starts when the child lands on the planet. Now, that's a very strong position. But the point is that we used to say back in the old days when we were growing up, the community was very different and much less aware of these things, that the child, to your point, Erwin, and you're absolutely right. From a strict point of halacha, you're absolutely right. The child is not yet obligated in this mitzvah. Okay,
Right.
but we say that chinuch, that educating the child starts long before he's absolutely obligated. And
Right.
today, with the level of awareness of our children and how young they are when they become aware, I certainly
Right.
can't be asking a child to do something.
But even from a
Right, and then not only that,
technical perspective,
What's that? Jacob?
No, I was.
sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say that. I'm sorry, but I was going to say that you also at such an impressionable age, let's say 3 to 13 or whatever that age that spread is, the kid is not going to understand later on why am I switching gears?
Right. Why am I switching gears? Right. Because children remember. And now, you know, what do they say, that there's more information in a weekend or a weekday edition of the New York Times than somebody would read in his whole life 100 years ago, in his whole entire lifetime. So alachat kama v'kama, so much more so in terms of the fact of how our children, what they're aware of, what they're seeing and how early they're seeing it. So
Ricky,
these days,
I'm just curious, why can't you squeeze a sponge? Like, why is it a sin?
why what?
Why can't you squeeze?
Beautiful. Excellent question, Carol, because there's something called sechita. We can't squeeze something out on Shabbat because when we squeeze something out, we're separating things. You're not allowed to separate the wheat from the chaff, the good from the bad. So anything that's related to separating, even if it's separating the water from a sponge, is considered prohibited on Shabbat. There are many things that you can't separate. For example, if you have a plate of food in front of you and you like A and don't like B, and you're not going to eat B, you can't take B out of the plate because you can't separate. You can eat A, you can eat what you like, the good stuff, and leave B behind and not eat it, but you can't remove the negative. So the same thing with a sponge. When I'm squeezing, I'm removing the water. I'm creating a separation, which connects back to some of the work they did when they were building the tabernacle, and therefore you can't do it. So a number of yeah, good.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it to you very, very quickly. What we'll do is we'll go through it more in depth so that you and everybody else gets a sense of everything behind it. Everything behind it. I can't take a towel and wring it out like this. I can't wring out a towel on Shabbat for the same reason that I'm separating the water from the fabric.
So Ricky, let me ask, so you're giving us this information and I know myself, I'll never leave dirty dishes in the sink, ever. On
Good.
Shabbat, I
No
will never.
problem. So wash
I'm
them.
always going to wash them. And
So
I'm
wash
always going to
them.
use a sponge and I'm always going to use hot water to clean.
So it goes like this, Sari. Good. That's why.
So you're telling us this and maybe other people's willing to take this on, but I will never.
Well, let's go like this.
Take this
Before
on.
we say never, never is a very big word. Never is a big word. Why don't we say like this? You feel strongly, as most people do. We grow up, we live on a certain quality of life. You feel strongly, as most people do, that they're not going to leave dirty dishes in the thing on Shabbat. And they're
Never.
good. And by the way, my wife agrees with you, and probably everybody else on the call does, right? So what do? So we take a sponge where you don't have the same issue of squeezing out. There are literally Shabbat sponges, literally made Shabbat sponges, because there's a lot of other people on the planet who are Jewish, who care about Jewish law, who don't want to be violating the law, who also want their homes to be clean and beautiful, as they should be. So some people will do it with a paper towel. They'll clean the dish with a paper towel. Some people will do it with this Shabbat sponge. But there are ways to do these things where we keep our homes beautiful, as they should be, and we don't violate Shabbat. So if the attitude is, I'm doing what I'm doing, then...
I don't think that's the attitude. It's more like what you're saying is too much.
But it's not. But that's my point. It's not.
Ricky,
Because there are millions of people in the world today who are doing it, and they're happy people, and they're living according to halacha, and that's a very beautiful thing, and it's a very important thing. And the halacha wasn't set up for people to get turned off or for people to fail. And by the way, the whole thing of halacha is learn and grow, learn and grow, learn and grow. Every day we learn one new thing. It doesn't matter what we did the day before. What matters is that we're not stuck in our ways and we're open to grow.
Right.
That's what matters. That's the whole thing here. So does anybody want dirty dishes? No, absolutely not. And you shouldn't want them either. And there's no reason to have them. So are there ways to do it without breaking halacha? 100%.
You can get these Shabbat sponges, I think, in Stop and Shop.
There you go. There you go.
It's this company that makes everything, the green, the blue. They have different color for every dairy, pork, and meat.
All right, there you go.
My
There you
wife
go.
buys things all the time. So
All right.
Ricky,
Yes, Lorraine?
I feel like to support what Sari's saying, like when you're, let's say, cleaning your dishes or even separating your food, it doesn't really feel like you're not in the spirit of Shabbat. Like meaning, so look, when you're saying that Yeshaya is coming and saying, do you really want to, honor Shabbat, do these other things? Then I feel like he's probably going to offer more practical things that make sense, that obviously that maybe won't even be against the Lamed Melachot, but will be against the spirit. So it's much
Excellent.
easier to understand that than to understand why you can't separate your food. That's not taking away from the spirit of Shabbat.
Excellent. Absolutely 100% on target. And that was exactly what I wanted to teach tonight, was the spirit of Shabbat and not these specific things. Because to your point, when you start with the spirit on Shabbat, which is what Yeshaya is referencing, which is what those two verses were on the page that we quickly read. When you see that, now you start to get into the zone, right? You start to get into the zone, and you start to get into the zone, not fully in the zone. But Serene's point is 1000% on target. I need to first understand the mindset, the atmosphere, the head that I'm creating for myself, and then and only then. And I didn't plan to speak about this stuff tonight at all. I'm happy we did, but to create the overall frame for this is essentially important. So, I want to say that our enemy is ignorance. Our enemy is the inflexibility. Those are our enemies. We are champions of growth and change and improvement. That's what Judaism is. A1, we will discuss these things in detail, should there be a willingness and an interest in doing so. And please, a few of you guys just let me know after what your thoughts are, positive or otherwise. But to Serene's point, I want to go back to what I wanted to focus on tonight, which is creating the overall mindset for this. Because Serene and Sari and Carol, you're 100% right. When these things come out of the blue, from nowhere, they sound, what's going on here? What are we doing? And why are we doing it? But we touched on those things because the questions were asked, and it's important to know the answers. And let's talk now about the overall mindset that we're trying to create. So, headline is, there are 39 key things, key areas of prohibition. Drop down one step. If I can't do it, I can't tell anybody else to do it, even if he or she is non-Jewish. 2A to that is, but sometimes I can in extenuating circumstances, and it's very exciting and intellectually stimulating and fun to talk about those circumstances, and maybe we'll do so. Now, getting back to what we wanted to do tonight. The Yeshaya is talking about a fascinating thing. He's not talking about the 39 things that we can't do. He's talking on a much bigger level than that. And I think this is what Serene is referencing. He's talking about the mindset that we create. So let me ask you a few questions. Can I, without violating Shabbat, can I prepare on Shabbat for something I'm going to do after Shabbat? Can I prepare on Shabbat? Jake, why not?
Why not? Because I mean, it's like you just said. It's essentially
right. It's uvda dechol. I'm doing something for a non-Shabbat purpose. So to your
But you could do it in your mind. You could do it in your thoughts.
1 second. Very, very good. Beautiful. So the classic example is in the Shulchan Aruch. The classic example is, can I walk to the halachic boundary? I don't want to talk about what the halachic boundary is tonight. Let's not talk. It's another bigger conversation. But can I walk to the area where all the housekeepers hang out? Can I walk to the housekeeping agency? I'm making up the example. On Shabbat itself, I didn't do anything wrong. I did nothing wrong. I'm not carrying, I'm not riding, I'm not breaking, I'm not squeezing, I'm not anything. I'm walking from my house to the office of the agency for housekeepers and laborers, because I want to hire somebody immediately when Shabbat ends. Sari, can I walk there on Shabbat?
I could give you like, no, but I could give you a personal example. It's hard for me to teach, like when Shabbat ends early, people always want me to teach them classes. It's hard for me to teach them a class right after Shabbat because during Shabbat, I think about, oh, he has a knee issue. How am I going to teach him? What am I going to do tonight? And it's I'm working on Shabbat. I feel like I'm working on Shabbat.
Fantastic. And you're not supposed to do that. You're not, based on these two verses, we hold that you're not supposed to do that. To Serene's reference of a minute ago, I shouldn't even be planning my class, my post-Shabbat class in my yoga or health-related training that you're doing, for example. I shouldn't be doing it on Shabbat because effectively, I'm thinking about something that's outside of Shabbat to be done after Shabbat.
To me,
And
that's
when you-
harder.
Huh?
To me, getting your mindset in Shabbat mode is harder than not doing the 39 rules.
1 billion% right. 1 billion% right. And it's the whole story. And that's why there's pages and pages and pages and pages on this. So you're not allowed to prepare. Practically, you can't do it. What do you mean? I'm only walking to the guy's place. Doesn't matter. It's preparation. Mentally, I can't do it. Intellectually, I can't do it. I can't do it because to your point and Sari's point, Abe, I am absolutely taking myself outside of the zone of Shabbat, disconnecting from it. So therefore, you can't really say this halachically, but the 39 laws, they're secondary to this. Because if my head is not in the zone, what do they mean anyway?
Right.
I'm checked out. So you
But
gave an
you're really seeing something a little different. That's like a business connection. That's already a business
very
connection,
good.
going to get
Excellent,
a
Sarah.
housekeeper from a
That's
store.
that's a business connection. But what if it's not a business connection? What if it's what if I'm planning in my head going to the museum on Tuesday? Can I do it?
Oh, if you
We
bought
will-
the tickets in advance and all that?
Yeah. No. I'm going on Tuesday.
Oh, you're going on Tuesday.
I'm planning now. I'm planning to go on Tuesday. Can I do that?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Wait, you mean on Shabbat to plan? it
On
for-
Shabbat,
No.
I'm talking to myself. I'm not doing anything. I
If you-
didn't, I didn't,
they're
I'm just planning it.
Okay, let's say I'm looking at the New York Times on Saturday morning and I'm going through the arts and leisure section and I read a critique of a gallery. And I say, oh, I'd like to go see it. Am I making a sin by, stimulating myself? It's,
Yes, the answer is you can't do it.
Ricky, can I just
The
say
answer is you
something to
can't do
that? I kind of hate the word.
Here we go.
Well,
I
no.
got that tone. I got the serotonin that I'm about to be scolded. Go ahead, Sarah. It's been 2 months.
I kind of never like that word sin. It's more like
Uh,
taking you out of the mode.
No
of
problem. It's
that-
taking you out of the mode. It's taking you out of the mode. That's
Like
what it's
not
doing.
being hit on the head. You made a sin.
No.
It takes you away from the thing you're
That's
supposed.
exactly what it does.
Okay.
Right. Good. So, Sari, can I read the New York Times and look at the museum and say, oh, I'm going to go to that museum? That's not allowed. Now,
We
is
have a
that
question
hard?
altogether with the New York Times to start, right?
You have a question with the New York Times to start. Can I read the business section of the New York Times? Absolutely not.
Wow.
Can I read the news of the New York Times? It depends who you hold by. It really does. Arts and leisure. What's more beautiful than arts and leisure? Not a lot. Not a lot of things are more beautiful than art and leisure and shows and museums and magnificent things like that, right? So what's the problem? The problem is it takes me out of the zone of Shabbat. And I don't want to be out of the zone. I have this measly little 25 hours, a third of which I'm probably sleeping, to immerse myself into this heavenly zone on earth. And I don't want anything to interfere with that.
I think you have a lot of people that also will say that they're doing things that are whole thing, so to speak, on Shabbat exclusively, and therefore they're in the spirit of Shabbat for them, if that makes
But it's
sense.
completely
But
not.
you understand what I'm saying? Meaning,
I
somebody's
understand
gonna say,
it.
I only read the newspaper on Shabbat.
I only read the newspaper on Shabbat. It's true, but it doesn't work. That's right, Jake. You will see a lot of people doing that. Yes. Yes. So in Shabbat, I have this unique opportunity to be in the Shabbat zone. What keeps me in the zone? Prayer, family, beautiful meals, study, private time, interpersonal time. Those are the things that keep me in the zone. Prayer,
Ricky,
meals,
what if,
food, study. Yeah, Carol.
what
Who's that?
what
Oh,
about
Serene.
what about if you're reading a fiction book, like just the book of fiction? It's not making you
Yeah.
think about what you want to do, like,
Yeah.
it's not stimulating you to
So-
think about planning anything.
Right. Some people say yes, some people say no. Some
Right.
people say yes, some people say no. I personally, I don't read much in terms of fiction books. Here and there, I'll pick one up. On Shabbat, I like to learn. We have that Neshamay Tera on Shabbat, and we have that extra soul, so to speak. We also believe that our memory capacity and our intellectual capacity is heightened on Shabbat. So you want to spend as much of your time in real intellectual growth as possible. But every so often, I'd want to take a break and read something light. But it's really there are those who say it's okay. There are many who say it's not okay, and that a person should be focused exclusively on Torah-related content on Shabbat. And
Does
I
that
think-
include music magazines?
who?
Does that include music magazines?
You're gonna want to go
Rolling
to the
Stone,
concert.
Blues Review?
I would say it excludes music magazines. Yeah, I would say it does. But I want to say this. And it's to some of the things that Sarah and Sari and so on. I wouldn't make that my first priority in terms of growing on Shabbat. I wouldn't make it my first priority because it's hard. It's very hard. And I'm a very, very, very big believer in substantive step-by-step growth. So now I'm reading this book, this fiction book for 3 hours. So cut it down to 2 and
Right.
do a little more learning or spend a little more time in just personal introspective stuff on Shabbat. So let's make a 30% increase in your
Right.
life in that respect, that kind of thing. Yeah, Sarah?
So like you're saying that our enemy is ignorance. And then you're telling us all this stuff. And it really frightens me because like I'm feeling pressure because I don't think I can ever do anything you're saying.
Why?
So like I don't think I can in my lifetime
Why?
because I'm not
Let
that.
me ask you something. If somebody told you, somebody you respect, said, you know what? There's a method. I mean, look, you do this all day long. So I'm a little struggling with your position on this. You do this all day long. You tell people, buy into my enlightened view of spirituality, of mental state of being, of physical engagement of self. Buy into it, and you will be healthier, more content, and happier. I'm paraphrasing. I can't say it anywhere like you say it, but aren't you doing that?
No, because I actually give them the experience. It's different than me just saying it. I actually give them an experience when I teach them of it.
Even better.
So it's different than, they come in with pain, they leave with less pain.
Very good.
They come in frazzled from everything
Even better.
in their
Even
life.
better.
It's the same.
Even better. That's exactly what Shabbat is going to provide you and me and him and her. As we buy into this, the same way you encourage and enlighten people to grow based on them hearing you and attempting it. That's exactly what's happening here. The only difference is, and it's a very substantial one, is one is a human being speaking, and that has great value,
Right.
of course. The other is God speaking, so
Right.
that has that much more value. But yeah,
Ricky, so I just want to say something to Sari that might help that transition. Years ago, many years ago, one of my rabbis taught me that the Syrian community is Orthodox thinking, meaning we know what has to be done. We don't always do it, but if we know it's planted in our head, like you say, as you grow at your level of whatever it may be, you could then buy into, you know what has to be done. Like you just said, you just told Sari, Serene, you told, don't wash the dishes, don't read a book, don't do this. So you say, you know what? I'm never coming back to Ricky Cohen's class again. This is ridiculous. Okay, but that's not the game
the
plan.
rapidly shrinking class we got
Right.
here.
No, but the thing is, I take out of it is what I learned from my rabbis. Hey, years ago, I had a blowout on my rabbi 20, 30 years ago. I said, Rabbi, you tell me all these things. I'm not going to flip out. Forget about it. So he goes, Erwin, take it easy, slow down. He goes, I didn't write the book. I'm just teaching it. He told me.
Not only
And-
that, beautiful.
So, so now I have it in my mind. So over the years or the decades, when I'm in the mood to up my game, I'm telling Sari or anybody else that when you're in the mood, Saturday, you want to take the sponge and do the dish. Do the dish like Ricky said. So maybe the next week you'll use a Jewish sponge or you'll do whatever. You'll do what you want to do, but
just do it gradually.
I wouldn't take all this and say I'm going to flip.
No, I hear that, and I'm a very strong advocate of the step by step. Just
Right.
But what I'm not an advocate of, and Jamie and I talk about this a lot, and she tells me, if you didn't push people to change, like most people don't,
Right.
you'd have 10 times more people in your classes, like these other people do. And we talked about it a lot, and I said I can't do it. Because I fundamentally, with all my heart, forever, God willing, until my last breath, believe in the self-improvement of a human being. And I will never give that up. And if that means that some people are telling light, beautiful, uplifting things to many tens of people, God bless them. But I don't believe in that. I believe that every time a group of serious people get together and share ideas, they should grow. Now, does it have to be 0 to 100? Definitely not. I'm going to tell you a few other examples. Years ago, when the community now, thank God, is, so many people don't eat unkosher. But years ago, when it was a different issue, I used to suggest the following to people. And by the way, I got some real flack on it. I got real flack, but I hold with it. And that is, let's say you go out for dinner 4 times a month. Right, and not you, that Mr. Smith goes out for dinner 4 times a month, and he eats in an unkosher restaurant 4 times a month. Cut it down to 3, and go to the kosher restaurant one night. So people came over to me and they said, "You're sanctioning people to go to an unkosher restaurant 3 times a month," and they were going to chop my head off. I said, "No." I said, "I'm not doing that. Of course, I'm not doing that. Nobody does that. But what I'm doing is working with the person to build a practical plan."
Right.
So if I improve 25%, if I go from 4 times a month eating out to 3 times a month, that's gigantic.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. I think I think we cannot say I'm done and I'll never do it. We can't.
Right, but Ricky, in all due respect to you, the beauty of your platform is that the ability to collaborate and exchange ideas for everybody to grow. The truth, and I go to a lot of different programs or whatever, but yours really is a special platform that really people could be open-minded and exchange ideas and leading to growth. And God bless you for it.
That's what it should be. Thanks.
Amen.
That was a
Amen.
paid political
Yeah,
analysis.
True, Erwin's right.
A plug.
You know what, Ricky? You're making all these things available to us.
Good.
If
So
you
let's
didn't make
go.
it available, we wouldn't
Let's
know what
go.
to expect.
So
you
let's
make it
go. Don't
available,
be afraid to grow. Don't be
when
afraid to
it's
grow.
time, take it on.
Yeah, and do it gradually. Do it gradually. And it's beautiful. Sarah, the same way, you don't expect someone to go from 0 to 100% with you, right? It takes years, doesn't it? No? You with me or no? Doesn't it take years for someone to learn and to grow and to become, 1/20th or 1/10 of where you are in terms of your awareness and so on? It does. But all we're talking about is steps and growth and openness. And openness is the key. It's the key. How can I not be open? Why? So that's my own feeling. And again, the reason I typically shy away from teaching halakha is because people say, I don't want to hear it. And but if we take the perspective of I do want to hear it, and I'm going to grow slowly over time in a reasonable way, I think that's the way we should all consider.
Sometimes I think the problem is we learn halakha, and it seems silly, but spirituality is really where we want to be. And then we could do the halakha a little bit more. But to do the halakha without the spirituality, you're squeezing a sponge,
Granted.
you're saying what is this? all
Granted. So let's go back to our cornerstone topic for tonight. I don't want to be out of the Shabbat zone. So to Serene's point, is it ideal to read a book that's going to take me out of the Shabbat zone? No. Again, going back to the secondary point, if I'm doing it now, so do it less. Now it goes further. What about talking about something? We started to say this a few minutes ago, that's outside of the Shabbat zone, right? So should I be talking about going to the museum or going to what I want to do in my office on Tuesday or on Sunday or a minute after Shabbat? So the answer is no. And my son Abe, when we learned this from the book a week or so ago, he said a beautiful point. He said, Dad, listen, on Shabbat, my head is clear to think about these bigger things, but that's not Shabbat. Shabbat is to disengage from those things. I don't want to be thinking about my business on Shabbat. Now, is it absolutely doable? Absolutely not for most people on the planet. Can I 100% not? Somebody asked me a great question. He said, the only platform I have for communication with my father-in-law is business talk. And we learn the halakha from the Shulchan Aruch, and it says we shouldn't be talking about business on Shabbat. What should I do? I said, talk to him about business. He goes, what do you mean? We just finished reading the book. It says I shouldn't be talking about business on Shabbat. I said, that's right. But didn't you just tell me that's the only platform you have with your father-in-law? The only platform? He said, absolutely. I said, so let's do this. How long on a given Shabbat, average Shabbat, do you speak to your father-in-law? It says, generally speaking, we spend about an hour and a half over lunch. Beautiful. And what do you typically talk about? It says business and general stuff. Nothing really Shabbat related. I said, okay, great. So talk to him for 80 minutes instead of 90 about those things. And in that 10 minutes, add a nice idea you saw in the parasha. Add some chesed that you did that week. So chip it down. Make a 7-8% improvement. Go from 90 minutes of speaking about business, right? Which we know that the halakha is don't speak about it at all, ideally to be really in the zone. To Sarah's point, to be spiritually there before we have to be technically there, right? So, but that's not practical right now. But you know what? If we do the thing where I chip away and I get a little 7, 8, 10% better each 3-4 months or even each year, then I did fantastic. That's what we want to be doing. So he can't disengage from his father-in-law. He never should. God forbid, he never should. But should he also give up on the fact of trying to avoid speaking business, you shouldn't give up on that either. So speak the business, pause it, and then speak about chesed, speak about giving, speak about charity, speak about a beautiful person and a heroic thing that person did within the Jewish people. Speak about a beautiful idea of Torah. That's what we want to be doing. All right?
Right.
All right, now,
Right.
what about reading, what about thinking about a business deal? Sarah, you're planning your next semester of classes, let's say, and you're thinking about how many classes you want to add and this and that. Can you do that on Shabbat?
No?
No, great. So the answer is no. Same thing. I took my zone out and I'm thinking about business. But let's say I finished the semester already and the semester is closed and done. All the bills have been paid, all the income, the revenue has come in. Can I now reflect on the semester? Now, let me give you the pros and cons. On the one hand, it's business. On the other hand, I'm not writing, I'm not reading, I'm not speaking, I'm only thinking. On the other hand, right, it's a business issue that's already closed. What would you say? Rachel, we haven't heard from you all night. What would you say?
So I don't know. I would say if you're looking to the future, for sure not. Looking past reflecting, I kind of want to say maybe you can if it's just pure reflection, because I feel like that's more personal and it could be personal growth a little bit. It's not so business oriented.
Excellent. So if the deal is done, if the semester is closed, if the monies have been paid, and all of it's a closed chapter, and I want to reflect on it, think about it, even talk about it, not a problem. But if there are still open ends to it, it would move it back to the category of ongoing business, and I shouldn't be reading about it, talking about it, or thinking about it. So again, if it's a done deal, if the chapter has been closed, and to your point, Rachel, it's largely about reflection and maybe some self-growth and new insight as a result of that, that's fine. But it means that it's closed. If there's still loose ends, if people haven't been paid, if the books haven't been closed, whatever it might be, then it would can still be considered an ongoing business situation, and I shouldn't be doing it. Okay, so let's recap. We'll go another 5 minutes. Let's recap. A, should I be doing something on Shabbat? We're talking about the spirit now. We're not talking about the squeezing or the washing or whatever, like that, right? We're talking about the spirit. Should I be preparing on Shabbat for something post Shabbat? Even if that preparation, there's nothing against Shabbat in the preparation itself. I'm walking to the office of the temporary hires. I'm walking to the office on Shabbat itself. Did I do anything wrong in walking to the office? Absolutely not. Can I do it on Shabbat? No, because I'm preparing for something that's going to take place after Shabbat, which I'm not allowed to do. Now, let me ask you, because as we said earlier, there are mitigating circumstances sometimes. For example, let's say there was someone who passed away and is in this office. This person, Jewish person, passed away and is in this office. Now, I can't deal with a person who passes on Shabbat. We're not allowed to do that. But I can deal with that person immediately after Shabbat. So that's considered a met mitzvah, a deceased person who doesn't have anybody to help him or her. And because I'm not doing anything, practically speaking, that's violating the Shabbat, I'm just preparing, but I'm preparing because there's a great mitzvah that has to be done as soon as possible. And if I take care of an abandoned body a minute after Shabbat, it's much better than taking care of it 5 minutes after Shabbat, so I'm allowed to do it. You with me? One other example of something I'm allowed to, yes, sir.
Like, what about like, I mean, I'm thinking about like, let's say, preparing for your friend Shiva, like thinking about, oh, I have to go buy this and go to her house and do this and how to rearrange her furniture. Like, can that be done on Shabbat in this circumstance?
I wouldn't think so. It's a great example. I wouldn't think so because there's not an absolute urgency. At least I don't believe there is for something like that. If it's about that the person doesn't know how to handle the burial of the body, we hold that in terms of these things that the urgent of them is dealing with the person who passed. That's the urgent issue. Everything beyond that is important but not urgent, and therefore it would wait till after Shabbat. Any form of preparation would wait. What about a bride? What about walking to the house of a bride on Shabbat to help her immediately after Shabbat? What would you say about that?
It's no issue. So if it's l'sorach mitzvah, it's no issue ever, right? And that's the
No issue. Great, Jay. And when it comes to helping a bride, we say that there's no issue. Again, it's a bride that there's an urgency. There has to be, if this bride is getting married on Sunday, then there's nothing to talk about. But you're talking about a case where the bride needs the help, can't help herself, is getting married that night for whatever extenuating circumstances. So we can do something on Shabbat to help her because the needs of a bride are paramount. And when a person is about to marry, that takes precedent over most things. So that's A. But generally speaking, I can't do something on Shabbat. I can't pack on Shabbat to leave Saturday night. I can't do it. What did I do wrong by packing on Shabbat? Nothing. Is there anything of the 39 melachot that's wrong? No. Can I do it? No. Because it's preparing for after the Shabbat and it takes my head out of it. Next, can I talk about stuff on Shabbat that's not related to Shabbat? The answer is no. Is this possible in our lives? It's virtually impossible. It's virtually impossible. We're not at a level, I don't think anybody really is, to speak about Torah ideals all day. It's just not possible. So what we want to be doing in this case is we want to just be trying to infuse the conversation with more and more and more over time, more and more things related to Torah, to Hesed, to personal growth, and those kinds of things. And finally, can we even think about things that are outside of the Shabbat? What I'm going to do in my office on Tuesday, what are Sari's points from before, planning my next semester. Again, it's almost impossible to control our thoughts completely. But if we see it coming and we attempt over time to think less and less outside of the zone of Shabbat, we're going to be immersed more and more in the day, in the now. Like Hillel HaZaken said, if I'm here now, everything is here, and there's nothing else, we're going to be immersed fully in the day, and we're going to get so much more out of what the day offers. That's what we want here. Any other questions, thoughts?
I have one question for you.
Sure.
You going away for 2 weeks?
Yeah, so we're away. It's a little over a week, but we're going to miss 2 Tuesdays.
Do you need
Next.
someone to carry your luggage and be a valet for you?
Oh, you mean I don't have to carry mine and hers? I got to get some help? Thank you. It's so kind. Thank you.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks.
It don't matter
Thanks.
where
It's
we're
a-
going. It
It's
doesn't matter where we're going.
40th anniversary. It's a big one.
Oh,
Not
Where are you
such
going,
a
Uncle Rick?
traveler, so it is a big one. About everybody. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Good luck, good luck.
Beautiful.
where are you going, Uncle Rick?
Mabruk.
We're going to Italy.
Wow,
Oh.
Fancy.
Nice.
Big shots. Yeah.
very good.
Figure it
Beautiful.
out when we get there. Yeah.
With the woman in the peanut gallery over there.
Yeah.
Very good. Enjoy.
Miss everybody, and God willing, we'll be back in 2 weeks. And,
Have a
Have a
great
great
trip.
trip. Have a
Thank
great
you.
Enjoy,
trip.
enjoy.
Safe
Thank
trip.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, it was a
Thank
great
you later.
class.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ricky.
Carol.
Take care.